This is just a fast video on the go. I'm gonna do today, July the 15th, 2022, and I was waiting for this to publish. You have no idea how much this stuff hurt me, first of all, but I waited for this moment to come for no less than 9 years. For 9 years I waited for this moment to come. What British royals did to me in London, in Chicago, with the film artists in 2010 was very difficult to describe, but this is what I'm going to give you. This is going to be my account, which I already audio recorded on the phone today. This is what's going to be my account on why I have chosen this path here, this very path here. In other words, why I've decided to take a stand for good against Harry and William, against two brothers, which is really none of my business whether the two are divided or united or whatever it is. For me, definitely, I always wished the two to be united, treat one another good, well. I wish nothing but best for the family, but this particular issue hurt me badly, and it's exactly why I waited for no less than 9 years to tell the world my view on Harry, on British royals as whole, William, Charles and Andrew. Never mind the rest of the crew, but these are the people that started in 1995, talking about the Charles, and I'm talking about Andrew, in the town of Reading. They used, not too far from London, they used a mayor to do this stuff, and it was not done only in Reading. Stuff, when I say stuff, beating under MK Ultra that would bring one to. The only time that this stuff would stop during MK Ultra is when they would bring you to the on a brink of the sanity, basically. This was on the brink of the sanity. Every time they would torture and torture and torture till they would bring you on a brink of the sanity. And I'm not going to forget, and I'm going to say which mayor. Andrew, Prince Andrew, unfortunately find out about it. Stated that this mayor no longer is around, but it's not the people. But this mayor stated that if I ever manage to prove this, he's going to let all out. He's going to give the whole truth about the British royals, but only if I ever manage to bring this thing through for the world to see what this is about. Because he told me, and he told me this because I told him this, you can't do anything to me. That's what I was telling him during the beatings. I told him there's nothing you can do to me. There's nothing you can do to me. They had a guys, they slapped me, they this, they pushed, kick. But I told them, so what do you think you're doing? You're not doing anything. You think you're going to do something to me? Like, in what sense? How? I told him, there's nothing you can do to me. Of course, I was terribly wrong. Luckily, I was wrong. Luckily, I managed to somehow survive. Now, Americans always refer to this madness, life in a madness. In this portion of my life right now, as London designed, as you know, I'm in a pretty insane situation, but this I have to correct this. This was no madness. The madness is not the right word. This was push an individual into a suicide. This is a 28 years of grabbing somebody like this for the throat and choking him with hope he's gonna commit himself to a suicide at any day. That's what this is. There is no madness here. I am completely normal. I have proven beyond any doubts I'm normal. There's nothing wrong with me, despite all these circumstances. And this shit goes on just for 28 years to remind you. There's no madness. The madness like this you read about every day in obituaries for the fraction of this kind of madness. 28 years. So this is my account here I'm going to give you. So these guys warned me. They were doing the bad stuff for Andrew, for Charles, and I was telling them there's nothing you can do to me. And he told me, boy, you don't understand. I've seen others like you before. There are none of them around. They were all destroyed. And I never got along with these people, but they did come around and they told me, if you ever gonna manage to, I told them, I don't know how the conversation brought this thing up, but it became clear that these people are more than just interested in beatings. It became clear that these British people wanted somehow to help me out. They just didn't know how. And the truth came out of this mayor who told me, if you manage to prove this, to do what I did, then I'm gonna let the whole truth out. Probably because it was others like myself from his area, from his little town, or maybe some other town in Britain. He said, you don't understand, we had others like you. What I want to say to you today in respect to William and Harry, because this was a disappointment, big disappointment for me at one point in time in my life, and that really was not a trick. That was a real thing. Near Sevnica there is a junkyard, and here in Slovenia, whenever they would take me for a walk, hiking, they would pull me on a site here and there, and it would be beatings in the same thing in Poland, in Czech Republic, Slovakia, Belarus, Russia, and so on. And they use all kinds of opportunities, bridges, remote, secluded areas, forests. And it was no different in Sevnica, and I think the year was probably, I don't know, maybe it was 97. And the kids were really young back then. William and Harry were really young. But when they saw it, what went on with me, what they were doing with me, and they saw it, they were very, very excited. William was, but Harry just as much. And they ran. They told that they're going to tell everything to father, and they don't know what their daddy is, and this and that, and ran to father to tell him all about it. That's why these kids were really, really dear to me. These kids were so dear to me that when beatings went on, I never ever complained about what went on against me, because this is how dear these kids were to me. I didn't want the kids, especially the guests, to be aware of any kind of abuse that went on here in Slovenia, where they were my guests. Even that I was drugged up, I felt honored to have them. But in '99, William took off exactly where his uncle and where his father basically, he just continued their legacy. I think money has got a lot to do with it, but it really doesn't matter. This money, it was about the money. This money wasn't even to me about a money. It wasn't about to me as much as about money as about these people, because they made me feel special, like I'm part of their family and so on. Along parallel to this beatings, for which later they claim me that these beatings were just the preparations for what's going to be in Slovenia to mentally harden me. At first they were trying to convince that they knew nothing about it, and they also let me know in front of Queen that in fact did know about it. See, they wanted me to make me turn myself against them at a later stage, no matter what, because this is how it's all solved. This is how they do it. Let's just leave this stuff alone. Harry did something in 2013 that's no less than 18 years after MK Ultra torture that made me think about it every day of my life without ever again, definitely without. Still, I'm not gonna say that I didn't trust the two. There were moments I had to, because they just find always the way. Also with this one, this is gonna help you, that's gonna help you. We found it this, we found it that. This is always what it was. But let me explain to you what happened in 2013 and why I decided that what Joe Biden claimed me, he got one who's going to even confirm my account with his memoir, that he got one who's going to even what psychiatrists in Slovenia refer to as would be certified by the royal, obviously about my not being insane, certified by the royal about whatever else he wanted to state inside of that book, and that it would benefit me in this, and why I decided to just skip that offer from British royals. First of all, they never ever were decent about their wrongdoings, the stuff they did. They always involved whenever it became evident for something, and they did Shadi recognized, knowing exactly how MK Ultra works, crime against me in such a way like you would try to, the same type of resentment, let's say, psychologically affects, let's say, if you have a dog or you have a cat and you go with the hand behind the tail. Animals don't like that kind of stuff. And so in a very, very treacherous, after abuse, torture, lies, or maybe even whenever they were making me look special in a way that I would feel that somehow I was smarter, or they did that kind of stuff, and they were trying to portray themselves as victims and so on. All kinds of stuff like this. Still, you don't forget basically really what took place and how they developed. They really created in my head a character based on treachery and based on something that you possibly cannot turn your back to, because it's like every word that comes out of them is just nothing but fucking lie. that from the point of view when you consider about Robert De Niro, America's Got a Talent video that I have posted, on my news site, when he was boasting about Bob imitating, if you want to say this, my insecure years or something like this. They never were insecure, really. Mother Hubbard, Robert De Niro, America's Got a Talent, whatever show. Really embarrassments. You clearly understand that they make you understand, because you're brought to the palace and then you're brought to the show like this to feel embarrassed, whatever. You feel embarrassed afterwards because you don't understand shit under MK Ultra actually what goes on. But once you sit in front of the computer and you see that shit, yeah, it can be embarrassing. All through, really is not embarrassing. I think it's just, it demonstrates the level of primitive minds that behind that kind of stuff, because I think that no sane individual would go as low as this. But let's forget about that stuff. 2013 is when I released some crazy stuff in respect to the Israeli state. I lost it. Everything they tutored me in Slovenia against Poland, Russia, against the Jews, surfaced from under MK Ultra. All the resentments, everything that was boiling in my head for no less than 18 years of this subconscious torture, lies, resentment, anger that were boiling in me, finally it surfaced up. And the first thing I heard when I was brought to London from Harry was that he will, with the biggest pleasure of them all, that already decision was made, approved everything, deliver my death to Slovenia. With the biggest pleasure that he's going to do it. Now this is interesting. What the fuck was this guy even talking about? You don't understand anything. What the fuck sentence? And he was very specific about. He was very specific on the type of death that I will meet. And what he had in mind was some kind of medical procedure, whatever procedure that was. Stop. He talked about something that he's gonna do something. That's gonna modify my cells or whatever the hell. Very technical. The next person in line that lined up in front of me in London was Prince Andrew. The only thing that I noticed was insane smile, like completely. I will never forget that smile. He was just looking at me, staring at me, and he had that smile, enthusiastic smile. The only time I noticed that kind of smile was whenever they fucked me, whenever they did something to me that was really painful or some shit. Whenever they did something like this to me, that's when Andrew, the smartass, would just blister from happiness. he was just, he didn't say a word. He was just looking at me and he was just doing like this, and he was just like happy. I got the Harry speech, this one, uh, and then everything else followed, which nothing really was encouraging. But in 2015, the Slovenian government, that's roughly, let's say, 2 years after, really was pleased, I suppose, to have received some kinds of instructions on how to rid me through, literally through a medical procedures, through a medical procedures. Guaranteed, success guaranteed. And really, I found myself in some kind of institution, for which I think this was in Ljubljana. It was not here in Novo Mesto. Even that Igor Kotar was present at the time and even insisted to me. But I think he did so because Milan Kuchan was involved in it, Borut Pahar was involved in it. So that's why I think he bullshitted around with, you must not say anything about Novo Mesto or anything like this. You must say about Ljubljana, because I don't want to be guilty for everything. No, he would have never said something like this. He just would say something like this when it was too much evident. Another person that was in the picture in this medical procedure in Ljubljana, whatever was done, in whichever hospital this stuff was done, was Zoran Jankovic. And what kind of medical procedure this is? This is a medical procedure that for which they guaranteed me that I don't know what the fuck it does, but some kind of a sensory, it destabilizes some kind of a sensory, that there is some kind of a sensor, something like this in the body. The body has sensors for a variety of different, I suppose, in this case, caffeine that was in question, obviously, that would play a major role against me if I would continue to consume one. Caffeine, in other words, would some kind of a sensor, something like this, which caffeine, I read just because I wanted to see this stuff. I will not be able to explain nothing more beyond this. However, this caffeine, this stuff, will affect me from that point and on in such a way. They talked about something about the cells. It says here that lymph nodes flare up and so on, but they talked to me about that it's going to agitate, that swells, that next to this, that will swell this stuff, never mind this kind of stuff, that will do something to the cells. The most important part is what it's not written about. They guaranteed me is some kind of a sensory in the body that has neural system or wherever it is that has they have a capacity to they had a capacity to play with it. In other words, that question mark, I had no fucking idea what that will guarantee me failure. Yeah, sure, sure enough. But I cannot say at that point in time, I couldn't say anything about what the fuck, what kind of failure. Years after, this was in 2015, they started to dream about effect that it's like a magic circle that creates one that it creates effect like this, that's you, that's how I was told, and the only thing that happens is like this, like this, like this, like this, like this, like this. So you're gonna be spinning like this, spinning like this, spinning like this, spinning like this, and basically that's when you're finished. Meaning that I was guaranteed that in Poland when I was sent in Poland in 2018, I lost tremendous amount of weight. You know, I was about 65 kilos weight. So I lost about, probably I estimate, maybe 35, 40 kilos probably. That's a tremendous amount of weight. And I did so by walking tremendous amount of mileage every day with restricted finances of about 17, 18 euros per month on a food which I received inside of that camp for political asylum seekers. So commuting myself every day to a town which was 3 hours away, therefore about 6 hours of walk every day, and then walk back and forth, and even all kinds of stuff that I did, and sometimes far more than this, just it wouldn't give me an option other than to lose weight. And I was looking forward to this since the day I started with this shit online, because this never really was my life. I started with this in 2006, so imagine me, I was starved to go back to normal life, lose weight, talking about 12 years after. Finally, I was able to go to swim to River Kirka. Finally, I was capable to go to hiking, start normal life. As soon as I got enough proofs to prove the point that I was not insane. Because this is what these British royals did to me. They guaranteed me. They already knew about that I'm gonna lose weight. They knew it's completely designed through the psychiatry, through the police and psychiatry, judiciary system in Slovenia. You go there or you're fucking dead. This was the name of the song with me. That's what they were doing. So, like I said, maybe you can say that this was a life in a madness, but this is not life on a madness. This was a life on the brink. This was just pushing somebody around, basically, shaving somebody around because you can, because you have the power, you can do it, you have finances, and so you do this with a person, you do it like with a farmer on a chessboard, basically with a figurine on a chessboard, right? So that's what they were doing with me. And they anticipated that once I'm going to return back from Poland, I'm going to have to go through ordeal, and the effect of this ordeal is going to be exactly what you see here. That's how they're going to do it with me. That's how they're going to do it with me. In fact, that whatever I'm going to gain in Poland and this and that, it's all going to be used against me. Like this. And they talk about the body shaming, about the poof, blam. Here in the end, funeral. That's all. That's the only thing they guaranteed me under MK Ultra. That's all there was. I didn't do this good. Okay. Body shaming. Body shaming was an important procedure. No matter how much you're going to strangle yourself, do exercise, do whatever it is that you're going to do. No matter what you're going to do, you're not going to be capable. You're going to be just falling apart, basically, they guaranteed me. You're going to be falling apart. You're going to go in circles. You're going to go for a walk. You're going to get even more hungry. You're going to go, you're going to eat, you're going to use even more, you're going to consume even more calories. And it's going to be this gradual failure of lymphatic cancer. The organs are going to be falling apart to you. That's what they came up with. Cancer, diabetes. Let me demonstrate this guy here. This is what Borut Pahor immediately activated. I don't know what the name of this guy is. This is the guy that started in 2015 to massage my brain. Goimir Leshniak, this guy. I got the same problem as he does. That I have a diabetes. Completely crazy that I have a diabetes. But nothing really showed that I have diabetes of any kind. There was no proof. In 2015, however, they claimed me that they did place me on a test because I continued to ignore, because I wouldn't acknowledge anything, any kind of signs, anything. They came to conclusion I'm so dumb. Ljubljana did. Zoran Jankovic, mayor of Ljubljana, Kujan did. That I'm so dumb. They're just so fucking dumb that I don't even understand what is happening to me. Basically, probably I really wouldn't acknowledge anything, no matter what you would probably do to me. Because I was just determined to get this stuff through no matter what. And they tortured, and this is the way it was. So that I have a diabetes and this and that. It was all kinds of theories about the brain cancer. How it's going to be necessary to drill the hole here in the back of my head so the water is going to come out. That's why you hear this sound. It was all kinds of theories they came up with. Next to ultrasound, acoustic attacks, directed energy weapons. They came up with gas poisoning and food poisoning, all kinds of poisoning you possibly can imagine. All kinds of poisoning theories they came about, all kinds of theories, you know. They involved the physicians at early stage already, way earlier than that. They started to involve the physicians that would learn about the possibility of what's wrong with me and this and that, what possibly could go wrong with me and this and that, which is kind of strange. And the thing about it is, about, let's say, Dr. Eric Berg and about all others physicians, is that these people, I can tell you this, these physicians, they didn't, what's that, Mr. Kent Berry, and it's missing here, I didn't put one in here, but that's, I really love that physician, motivation doc. These physicians didn't know anything. motivational doc, this guy here, this is a really wonderful person. All these physicians have a tremendous rate of success, guys. They were actually chosen really knowledge. These people really have a great knowledge, and more than anything, they're willing to help. They are eager to help person. They enjoy helping person. This man here, this man was in the Army Reserve still. He got his degree diploma paid relatively through. He's incredible man, this guy. Through the military. Yeah. He's got a green.
Extra virgin olive oil is great for your heart, great for your artery.
First time I see it. Not that that's not a military shirt, but really, I'm telling you, this guy, Army Reserves, a military guy, that's how he got his degree, diploma, doctorate. Wonderful guys. The thing is, none of these guys knew shit about what went on. They didn't know. They had no idea, because the stuff, the way they built, the kind of stuff they built against me could have resulted in a variety of potential health problems for me. However, they kind of figure out, all these guys, and that was really wise, they figure out that if they could make sure, since nobody knew about what's going to happen with me, nobody knew anything about what they're going to do to me, they figure out that the best way for me, it's a possibility that they did play with the fatty liver, that they did something that would cause this kind of effect, because it was one of the talked about blowback of insulin related to fatty liver. It's a possibility that they knew more. It's a possibility that this is just some kind of effect like this, because you talk about this stuff that you can cure, but this is fatty liver issue was just 1% of cancer, diabetes, brain cancer, directed energy, food poisoning, gas poisoning, and stuff like this. Yeah, the thing is that they might have. I don't think they knew what this shit is about. I don't think they knew about this stuff. I don't believe that any of these physicians knew precisely, but I think they all came to the same conclusion, that as long as I keep the livers healthy, I can't go wrong. It might be other parts in the body that will get affected, but really everything goes through the liver, through the kidneys, through the liver. So what they did was they tried to apply this general knowledge on me. Whenever meeting me, they try to alert me. Motivational doc, let's say, he talked about always, it's an old recipe of his. Well, how do you, I don't even, tzimmet, how do you say this in English? About the banana with, before you go cinnamon, before you go sleep, a cinnamon and banana, right? This was one of his like favorite things, and that this would contribute to sleep and this and that. But you know what? That really is something that tells me that he didn't know about that stuff, you know? Look at this, guys. Fatty liver coffee. You see this here? Fatty liver coffee. Can I drink coffee with a fatty liver? Also, the protective role of coffee in anaphylaxis is still controversial. Several studies have shown coffee consumption in patients with it can be protective against liver steatosis, progression, fibrosis, liver damage, and this and that. Okay, even cancer and all that stuff, coffee is good for you. That's why I'm saying that, because these guys didn't know about this stuff. They don't fucking know. They didn't know. They didn't tell them. They let them play with me, but they wouldn't tell them. They always do something based on your habits for you to look Well, basically, it is of a natural cause, whatever. No, in this case, however, on the side, some of the people said that the stuff they're gonna do to you, this kind of stuff they're gonna do to you, coffee is always good for everything. The stuff they're gonna do to you, my friend, hypertension. I don't have a hypertension. I don't have any of that stuff. The stuff they're gonna do to you, that's what American psychologists told me. If you're going to do this on time, it's going to be done on time. It's going to demonstrate that what you have is extremely rare stuff because it cannot be naturally. It can only be done through a procedure, through the medical procedure, and would demonstrate that. And that's how I actually didn't even mind they did whatever the fuck they did. It rather calmed me down. Because this is crazy stuff when they tell you, when they talk to you about the stuff like this. 1 in a billion you wouldn't find a case like this, he said. And let me demonstrate to you something. You know what this here is? This is what Harry told me. This is what William told me. This effect. That's when the more you're crushing down like this, the more weight you gain. And there's no fucking way you just gain weight. You know when I said earlier, the more you exercise, the more calories you're gonna spend. You will, because under circumstances like this, when you don't have the right to physician, I had none in Poland. I had none here in Slovenia. When they shut their doors to you, you don't even have access to real medical information. And you know what happens. And I'm not even excluding that the information given to me was not real. It didn't come to me about this. I'm not going to say possibility, but this is my account of what took place. This sensory deprivation, this kind of a sensory whatever they did, that they told me is something that they're going to disable whatever it is in the body. What it does to you, and they also talk about the cells. But what this shit will do is it works like this. You drink a coffee. Your sleep is 8 hours. You drink another coffee next day, whatever. Or 2 coffees, it doesn't matter, because my coffee, it's like, my coffee was a spoon of coffee on a size of something like this. So I could have, this is pretty damn big, this is a big ass stuff. This probably is half a liter right here. For a liter, a spoon of coffee with the milk inside. And sugar. And the only thing that's going to happen is the third day your sleep is going to be already reduced. Let's say from 8 hours of sleep, it's going to be reduced to maybe like 6 hours. The fourth day you're going to continue to drink the coffee, the sleep is going to be reduced maybe to 5 hours. You don't even have to drink no fucking coffee, and the sleep is going to be 4 or 5 hours. This is the shit that went on in Poland, because it was also some other stuff they did. It was also, I have no idea what went on. Sound 24/7. Here and there it stops. Precisely if you eat a liver precisely will stop for just a little bit. If you do a lot of walk and your blood is really cleaned up, that you extract all the water from the system, from your kidneys, that you clean them up, liver and everything, I think, grapefruit. And it's exactly what they told me. Grapefruit. They told me about this liver. There was a guy here who claimed that ate liver for 3 days, only liver, and he was healthy. I don't know. I'm a pessimistic about a lot of stuff they said. I'm very cautious with that kind of stuff. Extremely cautious because after COVID-19 I had just few weeks after, maybe I don't know, 2 weeks after or something like that. Yeah, I don't know if it was 2 weeks. I met a magician, a physician, a doctor at Trška Gora. This is how they do the stuff. This is how they do the stuff. Who insisted me that the best, and it really was good. It felt good under MK Ultra. Actually, when I had this COVID-19 and I laid in the bed, and I would take nothing other than vitamin and drink water, like for effing one day and a half or something like this. I didn't feel, and I wanted body to just face off with this virus on its own. So therefore, reset the body, and consuming no sugar, giving body C vitamin, water. That should reset the body. There's no virus. I was even told on MK Ultra that the body could not face with under this kind of circumstances. And that's exactly what I did. It did feel okay. Felt good. The sound, it went really. It lowered itself. But my blood pressure too. And this doctor that I met him not too long ago here in Trška Gora started to insist on this fasting yourself. You just eat once a day, real good, pack your ass completely, and then nothing for 24 hours. That's what many of them insisted on me, including Jack Dorsey. The thing is, Jack Dorsey doesn't do this shit. The thing is, the Germans that were doing this kind of stuff, as soon as they would bring me to Germany, as soon as we would go inside the house, either that was Ursula von der Leyen or whoever it was, the only thing that happened was they opened the fridge and before she did this in front of Merkel, she asked me, "And what do we do now?" I asked her, what is it we're gonna do? I have no idea. What are we gonna do now? What do we do? And she said, "Now we eat." I said, "Okay, let's eat." And she said to me, "What are we going to eat?" And I said, "I have no idea. I have no idea. What are we going to eat?" There was a fridge. I said, "Whatever's in the fridge," or I have no idea what we're going to eat. What are we going to eat? She said, "Whatever is prohibited for you to eat is what we are going to eat." I didn't have a problem with it. I said, "Let's eat." And Angela was laughing like crazy about that stuff. Yeah. And so think about like this, people. A lot of these people, executives, famous people, are sending you bullshit by telling you to eat once a day to fast yourself. I'm not going to say that's not possible, but know that it does have extremely bad impact on your heart, and what's going to happen is you're going to end up with a much bigger health problems than you had before. Okay, that's one of the things. The number two thing I'm going to tell you is that you better learn to think about food. In your every meal is the opportunity to heal your body. This is about something that is phenomenal, that is this type of psychology. This is my kind of psychology. This I invented this kind of stuff. Think about every meal you get in front of you as a heal for your body. Opportunity, I should say. Think about every meal you get is an opportunity to heal your body. If you're going to think like this, I think you're going to swim out, unless you have maybe a bigger, who knows what kind of medical emergency. But this is my philosophy. My philosophy is think about every meal as the opportunity to heal your body. And I developed this kind of mentality, philosophy based on the junk I ate. I'm not saying I don't. Of course I did. Um, and realized that if I adopt myself to this kind of philosophy, I'm actually going to really have a chance to survive. And if I don't, then everything really is going to go to hell. And I think it works. Okay, I still have to give more doubt to prove because I've not invested, I think, enough as I should have. But it's taking me forward, especially because of what I'm talking to you about, what I'm going to talk to you about today. It's what I'm talking to you right now about. You know, when I said that that kind of effect that you're just going to be spinning around, really, and in the end, you're just going to feel both. Both, I was explaining on MK that's just when you go, and that's going to happen if you're not going to exercise and drink excessive amounts of liquid, the body's just going to quit on you. And let me tell you, man, I'm the guy that would go in the middle of the night up and down a hill that probably a lot of people would say, this guy is insane or something like this, doing this shit at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning, going up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down the hill the whole night with people sleeping. But the thing is that I do have real issues with the people, as I stated, that wanted me to portray this as a life in madness. As I said, this is not life in madness. This is about squeezing somebody, pushing somebody into a suicide for no less than 28 years. There is no madness here. Obviously, my ability to talk to you, explain to you these things, prove that there's no madness other than some crazy people who have money and can do stuff like this to somebody that is just open for a damage, any kind of damage that can be inflicted on one. And so I do this kind of stuff because I need oxygen, and foremost I need the strength. I need the strength. I need this so that I can go after these people, so that I can properly categorize, rationalize, place in each drawer properly issues, because it's the only way to go forward. You don't want to go forward on the wrong paths. You don't want to go forward doing yourself rather damage than any good, and be counterproductive after all. I didn't deserve any of this stuff. This is nice to have all this ability to get this a hold of these proofs and stuff like this, but this isn't the stuff. This doesn't mean that you have to go and wreck yourself, destroy yourself. So to do the stuff like this, you have to be mentally and you have to be physically fit, because you're the one you keep pushing, you keep going, regardless of it. The truth is that the more that I exercised, the more was the shit they were talking about that was coming my way. And at the same time, the clowns in Hollywood showing their muscles, their physique, their bodies and all that stuff, as I was told the case is going to be. Then I see Harry and William doing their part and so on to remind me best to their abilities of the stuff together with the Hollywood they performed on me through the torture. And I'm basically seeing myself going about this stuff, that maybe the climax of it was that when you feel the pain in your heart, when you have close to cardiac arrest, what you do is you just keep going uphill, because heart is a muscle, And it's when the people make mistake, they stop exercising, they stop doing this stuff, and it's basically when they feel they get into the um, cardio problem. According to MK Ultra torture, which signs, symptoms of this torture I can confirm, they made me feel about the stuff. Appears they have created the whole cycle, they have created a pattern. Like the same thing like you create yourself on a desktop, a shortcut, and then you click on it and it takes you straight to that. Caffeine has been reported to affect the cell cycle function, induce programmed cell death, apoptosis, perturb regulatory protein, including the tumor suppression protein, following DNA damage, has a whether a cell will live or die. Yeah, funny because it should be. It's interesting because coffee is not associated with increased risk of cancer, all that kind of stuff. But it does have impact on the cells. And the only thing I want to say to you, whatever they have done to me, I have no idea. The way they have described all this stuff, that the way what you're not supposed to eat sugar, you're not supposed to eat salt. There was a big fucking debate on which finally they come upon to realize that you have to take salt. Because it was no salt, no salt, no salt, so religiously that they had some guy or two maybe face complete failure when they subjected them as a test bunnies to this stuff. That's what they insisted me. They came up to tell, yeah, but you have to take a salt and this and that. It was a crazy circus that went on here. Tested every product from the stores, not from the store, but from the stores, the low budget stores, which my mother pushed down the throat religiously. First, they accomplished this through the forced unemployment, and then the only thing was totally controlled environment where you get only the product that was selected for you to get, regardless of it. The Germans told me it's not true that you cannot drink milk. You can drink milk, but the drink is gotta be UVC, that's basically heated in a super high temperature, and lactose is free. You can drink milk, yes. I was taken with my niece and with my mother to the store, and my mother stated to me inside of the little store in front of my niece, they told me this is not going to be available for you because it's 10 cents more than a liter of regular milk. And when it all started, this in 2020, when I returned back from Poland, I was just presented with two options of milk. My mother told me, now choose which one you want. Here is one milk, here is another one, both were regular milks. When I confronted mother with this issue, the only thing I got in my face is, just as always, a blowback. If I mentioned to her anything about MK Ultra, why was it in the store, that I was with her witness, they were told that I'm not supposed to drink this kind of milk, but this is just the milk that basically is pushed, this kind of stuff. The only thing you get is anger in the face. That's all there is to it. Yes, there are ways for me to drink coffee. There are ways for me to drink milk. The coffee that I never drink in my life, but that I remember, coffee not there is some kind of a coffee, but this is not the coffee. But it's a coffee, but it's not a coffee. Whatever the hell this coffee is, this is another coffee, but you're not gonna have enough money for it. Yeah, you're not gonna have enough money for it. They came up with a solution. I'm talking about the Germans. It's gonna be a coffee. It's some kind of a coffee that is extremely expensive. Whatever the coffee is, it's not a real coffee. It's something else, but it will do this. It will substitute the real coffee, and so it's gonna have a taste of coffee, and then it's gonna be a sugar which is gonna be unprocessed sugar. Is the first time I purchased one for me in my lifetime. It's a raw sugar and is unrefined raw sugar. They told me this is also the sugar that you can consume. This is the first one I purchased this kind of sugar, and I also know about the milk because I gave it a test. As far as the coffee, I don't drink one anymore, but because it's got that effect. Because you get to 4 hours and you don't get sleep anymore at all. You're awake. Your body functions normally all of a sudden. You know, this thing that I hear, I think this is somewhere squeezing a pressure, something like this, so that I'm, always almost in that sense, right? And so if you take the coffee, it pushes you up, I think, or maybe something else, but it gets you going, whatever it is. And so what is it exactly that does cause the effect in my body that with accumulation maybe of caffeine, probably exactly in liver, because liver is an organ that accumulates, stores all these elements inside. That's very possible that's what the case is. What exactly is it, and what kind of impact does it have on my health overall, on general? That's a really, really questionable thing. However, it appears that there is no limit to what caffeine can do to me. We can get to 4 hours, and if I go about and drink some more caffeine, like a fifth day or something like that, we can even get to 3 hours of sleep. And I'm telling you, as much as you're going to take a cup of coffee and still go about it, that you're going to get more and more and more beaten up. Eventually you're going to crash down. Unfortunately for me to say this kind of stuff to you, it took me almost 5 years because the circumstances this people have created from London. It's called Life in Madness, and it does not give you a chance to even read anything, to get to know about this stuff, to what's going on and this and that. You just have to go by the memories wherever they do. You're basically, as I stated, the load of crime you're gonna be loaded with. That's what the psychiatrist here, Peter Kopsch, told me, and the police director. It's gonna be equivalent to what police officer during the shift encounters on his shift, basically. So then you go about and choose whatever the fuck you want to go about. So it's just gonna be just constantly all the time stuff. And so, not talking about only about the crime, but I'm also talking about other stuff that needs to be posted on a news site, and so it's completely impossible to go like this anywhere. Anywhere that you would take time and see what's going on and this and that. But yeah, I came to realize that when you stop drinking coffee, you have no idea how much you want to drink coffee. A cup of coffee that you don't get in the morning, eventually I realized it contributed to enormous amount of oatmeal, banana, all kinds of stuff, anything that would just start metabolism so that you would wake up. But because you're so beaten up and this shit accumulates in you, you can't. Your body's you're just like this basically. And so this shit, this here, this is the effect. You exercise, you look like a Rambo. Worse, you go, you do the stuff, you're right, you do everything you possibly can do. Still, you're crashing down and you're all set to go boom, crash basically. Boom, as I stated, this is in my situation as I was taught. This is when you are transported to the hospital for the variety of issues. They have mentioned the variety of issues as a boom. Uh, that's when the cancer takes over the body and you're just basically completely you're finished. And yeah, I did have a strong cancer related issue I dealt with. But the thing about it is that I learned that this cancer issues more than anything are related to the sleep patterns, for which I had no fucking idea that it would be caffeine the major contributor to them. And now we go back to this philosophy of mine when I told you think about each meal as the opportunity to heal your body. You can't do this with a lack of sleep. With the lack of sleep, you're going to resort to the food, eating, irregular habits, crazy shit that you possibly cannot imagine. That's one of the things. You can't do it. With a lack of sleep, you have no idea what impossible that thing is. I did go out there and beat the calories, get myself back on track. The thing is that I came home and it got even worse, more difficult to deal with. And this actually is leading into a tunnel related to the mental issues. Because you find yourself exhausted psychologically, it impacts your psyche because you find yourself in a tunnel repeating doing the stuff that you're not supposed to. And who the fuck would have thought that this is gonna be a caffeine that's gonna do to you? Caffeine also, as I was told under MK Ultra, not to drink. That if I will drink caffeine, but this is interesting. From 2015 they started with this shit. That if I will be drinking caffeine, I definitely will not make it through. Maybe if I don't drink caffeine, that's how I was taught, maybe I'm gonna have a chance. But if I would drink caffeine, so this is how much they knew about this stuff, whatever they did to me, I will have no fucking chance whatsoever. After 5 years, I realized that drinking caffeine or not drinking caffeine, it's a matter of survival. Not even the sound is that you hear, not the matter of whatever they give you at the hospitals when you go there to examine yourself, but it's a matter of survival, and nobody gives a fuck about you other than you yourself in my situation. So I completely quit on it. The last 2 days, it was unbearable. It was unbearable because it accumulated so much unsleep and must go about the day and do that you have no idea the struggle that I put inside the wheel to steer myself away from the biggest possible disasters. Because at any time when you don't get enough sleep, There's actually something worse that you don't get enough sleep. It's called a quality of sleep. If you don't get a quality, a decent, you can get less sleep, maybe 6 hours of sleep, but if it's good, deep sleep, you're still gonna function alright. If it's not prolonged, this stuff. But man, if you get like 5 hours of sleep that is just half sleep, you're gonna be totally dead. Over the course of the time, you're gonna be totally dead. In Poland, they told me they don't even know how physically is it possible that my body didn't fail. When they brought me to London, that they watched this shit, they counted this hours and all this stuff the way I did, that they don't even understand how the hell that I didn't fell apart already, and so on and so forth, because of the lack of the sleep. Um, I told you about already about other stuff, about lactose. I don't know where this shit appeared all of a sudden in my life, but I can assure you that this is what I was promised. The case is going to be by London. So, madness, as far as madness, what's that coffee? That's not even a coffee. That's like um, that's supposed to be some kind of what they told me that that's gonna be. And the thing interesting is, it was again British royals who insisted me on this kind of drink, that basically this is what I will be drinking. They told me, well, what's healthy? When I asked them what's healthy, then they told me what you don't like, that's tea, the British way. Well, I really don't have anything against the British way, but I really hate tea. I'm not a tea drinker. I tried, I gave myself best possible, but excuse me, I couldn't handle the tea for hell with, for whatever it would be. And I started to drink coffee for the first time, really. I started to drink coffee for the first time in my life in year 2000, and it was by year 2009. In 2009, I started to drink coffee for the first time in my life. That was actually in Minnesota, when I was in Minneapolis, like on a regular basis, and it had a tremendously not good, not good impact on me because I was not used to it. And healthy as oak, never drink any kind of, not even coffee, forget about alcohol. But what was healthy for me, what the recommendations were for me, well, the recommendations were for me to sell drugs, to consume drugs, to sell drugs, to become a drug dealer, or to sell, to become, to work together with Mike Tyson with his cannabis and that kind of stuff, the stuff that he does. That was a good stuff. Prince Andrew figured out the way to avenge him, because I always condemned him for drinking alcohol. I was the one who dared to bust his ass for alcohol drinking. I was like, basically, how fucking dare you to even bring this issue to me about alcohol? And so he wanted to, for me to become an alcohol seller. He started to connect me with these companies from Canada and from when I was here in the U.S., from Britain, that is going to open me a career in alcohol. And I was like, why would I want to go and sell alcohol? I said, I don't like the alcohol. Why would I want to go and become an alcohol seller? It's good money. It's a great money. It was actually, it was a way for me to see myself in him. because under MK Ultra he insisted that I have to try alcohol. But you have to try alcohol. Try this one and that one. How are you going to be alcohol seller? How are you going to have a business, alcohol business and so on? Yeah, that's fucking healthy, folks. The fucking coffee, now that's not fucking healthy. And why the coffee is not healthy? The coffee not healthy because you like one. Because it's what they promised me. We're gonna destroy you every pleasure in life. You're not gonna have. He said, this is what I resent to Mr. Harry. This kind of stuff. Why the fuck was it necessary to do this kind of stuff to me? Why was it necessary to do this kind of stuff to me? Why was it necessary? How the fuck I deserved to have a spine broken? Must have been for 2002. No later. 2003, when the young kids from Britain came to Slovenia, the torches were demonstrating us their backpacks. Upgraded, better backpacks for hiking, which have had not like this kind of stuff that I did. It's like a metal stuff that you attach behind the belt, not like this, but they had like a long, like this, long stuff like this that you attach behind the belt. Why the fuck? I'm asking you, Harry, and why the fuck was it necessary to break my spine? What the fuck do you have out of this stuff? Because, you know, all this shit, all these proofs, all this stuff was necessary to you because you had a problem and those problems were concentrated. If you go back to 2013, when I recall your Uncle Andrew, this priceless love, that he was just fucking dying from satisfaction. 18 years of torture. And finally you obtained something that you worked 18 years for as a whole, as a family. Basically to condemn me to death because now I was seen as a Nazi. 18 years, so you got your pay. Basically, so why was it necessary, all that stuff, these proofs and all this kind of stuff? It wasn't necessary to me. It was necessary to you, for you to purchase a credit, something that you can base your memoirs, I understand this kind of stuff here, this, of which 10 versions, just as I stated earlier. 10 versions of this stuff exist here. Now, where is the shit here? You can see here on the side about the coming memoirs. It's going to be the memoir. They're going to release the memoirs. This memoirs is just like somebody else he'll have written about. I wouldn't give a shit about any of this. I wouldn't pay a cent. I wouldn't pay a dime of it because it's a fucking lie. Whatever is going to be written, it's going to be written based on this here that you get to hear and see. That's what this is going to be written. You don't write memoirs like this. You don't wait for somebody else to finish his memoir so you can adjust according your own so-called memoir. You don't do that kind of stuff. This is not memoir. This is something else. This is something completely different. This is not memoir. It's something else. And I gotta say, Harry, this isn't gonna work out. It's not gonna happen. I know what was done to me, more or less. I no longer go about caffeine. It appears that you're gonna fall short of your expectations in respect to my death, because my death was something they anticipated greatly through the world of madness they refer to as. What precisely the world of madness is, I'm not going to go into it right now. At this point of my life, the world of madness is um, maybe the best described as jobless, with father completely faking medical condition, rehearsing whatever torture I personally was exposed to during MK Ultra in Slovenian healthcare system right here in the region of the Novo Mesto. Mother coming on meetings in a home for elderly people, insisting me just yesterday how she's gonna file to depart house instead to home for elderly people. Social worker I had met a month ago involved since 97, 98, who acted like a broker between the social services and affiliated government agencies with idea to assist, to use mother or assist mother against me, doesn't matter, because my mama is not so special mama. My mama is in the same category as my papa. My mama did not know anything. My mama created the world based on something that if I would pursue, I would be dead, 100%. Till she gives her account about what went on, my mama is nothing so special. Is in a completely the same category as my father, as my papa. It's as simple as this. It's not driving somebody insane. It's not madness. It's not for good. It's not for better. To improve. To better society. It's about the shit that comes from abroad. It comes from London to demonstrate us all here in Slovenia what the fuck can be done here. Because it was done from abroad, whom you're gonna go to complain to? Those that demonstrated through me here how is and can be done? The one who's gonna inherit this is gonna be Milan Kucin, it's gonna be Pahor, it's gonna be association of so-called ex-Yugoslav communists who will be capable to rationalize, literally through this case, all the future violence against our people. So I don't know what is more mad in this case. If this is a madness, I do not know anything about this madness. I know this shit goes on for 28 years. So I have no idea what exactly the madness would be. The social worker maybe who brainwashed me under MK Ultra on how she's gonna help me out, how I have the right to assist father in his medical need, whom I have met a month ago. But was actually used to assist my mother and father against me. So I don't know what the madness is. Father evidently inside of the hospital mistaken a hearing aid for my attempting to disturb him during the visits. As for every visit I would pay him, he objected, he protested to hearing aid. My father obviously used medical emergency inside of the hospital to portray himself with full mouths of saliva in my face as someone, if I offered him a help, assistance, who is trying to disrupt him, disturb him, bother him, is coming in hospital instead to bother him. My father used his medical emergency to get me in arguments with a medical staff. My father used his medical emergency to come back home and have tried to throw himself on the floor, tried to do something, tried to cause some kind of trouble that would be blamed on me because I was the one who apparently brought him home. This was when I brought him home. And I have a proof that it was clear that he was completely aware also when he was at home about absolutely everything. My father with full mouths of saliva was doing like this, but I wouldn't talk to you, not even one fucking word. Was used with idea to have a tube injected inside of his mouth. That's what a man that works inside of the hospital, Yanko is his name, actually in real time was explaining me how to, despite father and I were going like this, biting these tubes so he could retain the saliva in his mouth, which appeared is can choke at any time. My father, who however would accept food if he was given, and it was given one berry, one blueberry, and no more since, try to imitate like he's gonna choke himself and so on. You know, all this shit when it's audio recorded, and when the man, the first two words after 1 month that he did not spoke, not to mother, not to me, not to anybody, the first words to him when I appeared inside of the hospital was that it's again you. That's what he said to me. It's again you. Now you're going to again disturb me. You're going to again, like in a sense, torment me. Ha. Luckily only that I video recorded stuff, not only audio recorded, how I asked him. But when you audio record and when you ask person if he wants, if he can offer, is not enough in this case. My father today, whom I have visited and offered a hearing aid, and the only thing he did was he was trying to destroy a tube that is attached at the end of the hearing aid, because my father can't put inside of his little ear a regular hearing aid. And so because I bought for myself several hearing aids, you see, he get them for free. It's all covered for him from social services with his retirement and all this stuff. Me, I don't even have a fucking hearing aid. I had to buy myself from China the cheapest hearing aids to use. But I went ahead out of my way to accommodate my father, my dear father. So today that he could go and did not know what the fuck hearing aid was, when I offered one, would not allow me to give him one, and then he went ahead straight for that piece, for that rubber. He knew exactly what the fuck he was doing, and he was gonna go and destroy one. My father, who I could tell you about numerous other things about the stuff like this, I have encountered with him inside of the hospital you wouldn't fucking believe. He is plain a dementia. He's doing everything possible he possibly can to accommodate. Well, a police, no other. Psychiatrist, not anymore, but police, Slovenian judiciary system. He had 1,000,001 opportunity, a chance to destroy me. through his stroke issues. That's my father. And basically destroy me for coming to help him out, to giving him a hand. Punishing me basically for giving him a hand. That's my father. That's my real father. You want to call this a madness? I don't know. I told you, for 28 years, these people tried to convince me that the suicide is the best way for me. They had me on the bridges. They had me on the buildings. They were trying to convince me, and they were talking to me how it would be best for me to just throw myself down. They did. You see, the thing was, it was in the U.S. It was not only here on the bridge here, not too far from here. They had me also in the U.S. And so, kind regards to the Buckingham Palace located in London, to the Battenbergers, to the Windsors, to Prince Harry and to the Prince William, who, by the way, they know they're a piece of shit. You know you're fucking shit. You know you are a fucking shit. What I told you about today, you did. What was done to me here in 2015 through the medical procedure, you know you're a fucking shit. You know you are a fucking shit of the human being. You know this. This is not a mystery to you. You know it. You just play. You just fake every fucking day on your media, on your news, on your stuff. You know who the fuck you are. You know I know who the fuck you are. And you know when you see yourself in the mirror, you say, I'm a big fucking shit, and my name is Prince Harry, and my name is Prince William. And I'm gonna go about the day smiling around and hoping that guy over there in Slovenia somehow is gonna end somewhere else. That's all I gotta say. Today, look, today is July the 15th of 2022. 28 years. You tried and you keep trying your best. And you failed for 28 years. Not that I have anything else to say to you or to your uncles. This here was a well rationalized, a decision I have not made across the night. This decision. Never ever would I want to go and hurt somebody. Never, absolutely ever would I want to go and cause somebody harm, a damage or something like this. Yeah, in my case, a sugar reduces, sugar just reduces, it's just the opposite of C vitamin. Basically, it's just take your immune system down, and then you get hammered with lactoses. That's got impact on cells. And then the coffee does a magic. And it's really, really hard. You take it 4 or 5 times. And the 6th time, the 7th time that you don't take it, that's basically the hardest time, because it feels like you want to eat the whole fucking whatever so that you can function like you otherwise would. But you can't. You can't. With this kind of problem, it's just what they promised me we have done to other people. We know you will, because we have done to other people. But what have you done? Well, we have done something. This is the talk of Harry and William. This is the way the fuck this was. But Harry said in 2013, he said, it's going to be my biggest pleasure, my biggest honor to take this to Slovenia and give to your team of medics, of doctors, physicians in Slovenia, so they will know how to do it with you, to finish you off. Yeah? That was after 18 years of torture. They finally got an excuse to get it done with it.